In this video, we'll be taking a look at 4 NBA games happening on March 3rd, 2025, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 8 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 4 NBA games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start. If you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Golden State Warriors versus Charlotte Hornets. The NBA is set to deliver an exciting cross-conference showdown on Monday as the Golden State Warriors take on the Charlotte Hornets. This matchup pits a Warriors team fighting to solidify their playoff position against a struggling Hornets squad that has had a tough season. The Warriors will still be without Jonathan Kuminga for this game, but they are expected to welcome Jimmy Butler back into the lineup. On the other hand, the Hornets are coming into this game with a fully healthy roster. Golden State was riding a strong wave of momentum before being unexpectedly halted by the lowly Philadelphia 76ers in their last outing. Now, they have a prime opportunity to get back on track against a Hornets team that has been in freefall. Just last week, the Warriors dominated Charlotte with a convincing 128-92 victory, and they'll look to replicate that performance. Charlotte's recent form has been nothing short of disastrous. They've lost 9 of their last 10 games, and most of those defeats have been by embarrassingly large margins. It's difficult to watch the Hornets' recent performances and feel confident about their chances, no matter who they're playing. Meanwhile, the Warriors have looked like a completely different team since Jimmy Butler joined the roster. They've covered the spread in 7 of their last 9 games, showing significant improvement on both ends of the floor. Historically, the Warriors have had the upper hand in this matchup. They've won 6 of their last 8 games against the Hornets straight up and covered the spread in all 6 of those victories. Interestingly, the winner of the last 10 games between these two teams has also covered the spread, highlighting the lopsided nature of their recent encounters. Since Butler's arrival, Golden State has been on a tear, winning 7 of the 8 games he's played in. During that stretch, they've averaged a dominant plus 16-point margin of victory, with 5 of those wins coming by at least 14 points. This includes their recent 128-92 blowout of the Hornets on February 25th. When it comes to scoring, the Hornets simply don't have the firepower to keep up with the Warriors. In their last game against the Washington Wizards, all 5 starters scored in double figures, yet the team still only managed to put up 100 points in a 113-100 loss. Charlotte ranks dead last in the league in field goal percentage and 28th in three-point shooting. These offensive struggles make it hard to see how they'll compete with a Warriors team that has been firing on all cylinders. Given the Warriors' recent dominance and the Hornets' ongoing struggles, it's no surprise that the spread for this game is in double digits. However, I'm actually a bit surprised it isn't even larger. Golden State covered with ease in their last meeting, and I expect a similar outcome this time around. Steph Curry is in excellent form right now, and he'll be returning to his home state of North Carolina, which could add some extra motivation. As our first pick for this matchup, the Golden State Warriors to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The Hornets' offensive woes are further highlighted by their ranking of 29th in the league in offensive efficiency, scoring just 104 points per 100 possessions. Only the Washington Wizards are worse in this category. Compounding their problems is the fact that they're facing a Warriors defense that ranks 9th in defensive efficiency, allowing only 109 points per 100 possessions. This mismatch doesn't bode well for Charlotte's chances of putting up points. Additionally, neither team plays at a particularly fast pace. The Warriors rank 16th in the league in pace, averaging 101.8 possessions per game, while the Hornets are 21st with 100.5 possessions per game. Charlotte has scored 100 or fewer points in 5 consecutive games, and it's easy to envision that trend continuing on Monday night. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Portland Trail Blazers versus Philadelphia 76ers. The city of brotherly love is set to host an interconference showdown between two teams currently on the outside looking in when it comes to their respective playoff races. On Monday night, the Portland Trail Blazers will take on the Philadelphia 76ers in what promises to be a competitive matchup. Both teams are fighting to stay relevant as the season winds down, and this game could have significant implications for their postseason hopes. Portland comes into this game after a tough road battle against the Cleveland Cavaliers Cavaliers on Sunday afternoon. Before that, the Trail Blazers secured an impressive 121-102 victory over the Brooklyn Nets on Friday night, covering the spread as 1.5-point favorites. On the other side, Philadelphia is riding high after a surprising 126-119 win against the Golden State Warriors at home on Saturday night. The 76ers entered that game as 6.5-point underdogs, but managed to pull off the upset. Historically, the 76ers hold a slim edge in the regular season series between these two teams, with a 64-60 record. They also dominated the first meeting this season, defeating Portland 125-103 on the road back on December 30th, 2024. Portland will be shorthanded for this matchup, as Deandre Ayton, Robert Williams, and Jerami Grant are all sidelined. Meanwhile, the 76ers will be without Kyle Lowry, and Paul George's status remains up in the air as he's listed as questionable. If George is unable to play, the scoring load will fall heavily on Tyrese Maxey, who will need to step up in a big way. Despite their recent win over Golden State, the 76ers are still struggling to find consistency, and George's potential absence could make things even tougher. Philadelphia opens as slight favorites at home, but their recent form leaves plenty of room for doubt. This game marks the second and final meeting between these teams this season. When they last faced off in December, the 76ers cruised to a 22-point victory as 7-point favorites. At the time, the Trail Blazers were struggling with an 11-21 record, but they've shown significant improvement since then. Even after their loss to Cleveland on Sunday, Portland has been playing with momentum, having won 4 straight games prior to that defeat. Their offense has been particularly potent, scoring 129 points or more in 3 of their last 5 games. While Philadelphia managed to pull off a win without Joel Embiid on Saturday, it's hard to see that becoming a regular occurrence for a team that has largely underperformed this season. Portland has been strong against the spread on the road this year, going 17-12-1, and they've also been competitive against the 76ers, posting a 5-4-1 against the spread record in their last 10 matchups. Portland is in the middle of a grueling stretch, playing the second game of a back-to-back and their third game in 4 nights. Despite the fatigue factor, they've been playing solid basketball lately and have quietly climbed back into the play-in conversation. What's even more impressive is that they've done this without making any major moves at the trade deadline. On the other hand, Philadelphia's season has been a disappointment, and losing Embiid for the rest of the year has only made things worse. While they managed to snap a 9-game losing streak with their win over Golden State, it's hard to see that victory as a turning point for a team that has struggled all season. The 76ers are getting the benefit of the doubt in this matchup simply because they're at home and have the rest advantage. On paper, they're supposed to be the better team, but their performance this season tells a different story. Philadelphia is currently 17 games below .500 and has been one of the worst teams against the spread, going 22-37 against the spread this year. Despite their recent win, there's little evidence to suggest they've turned a corner. Portland, meanwhile, is playing on 0 days rest after an overtime game against Cleveland, but they've been the better team overall in recent weeks. They've shown resilience and have been more consistent than the 76ers, making them a tough opponent even in a back-to-back situation. Given how both teams have performed lately, it's hard to justify betting on the 76ers as favorites. Portland has been one of the more impressive teams over the past month, and they've been strong against the spread all season, going 35-25-1 against the spread. Getting points with the hotter, more confident team feels like the smarter play here. At this point, there's little reason to trust the 76ers, even with the home court advantage. As our first pick for this matchup, the Portland Trail Blazers to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. The first meeting between these teams saw a combined 227 points scored, surpassing the 222.5-point total. While both teams rank in the bottom third of the league in offensive production, Portland has shown significant improvement in that area over the past month. Since the start of February, the Trail Blazers have scored over 120 points in 7 games, and they've averaged 127 points per game over their last 5 contests. Philadelphia's offense has been inconsistent, especially during their 9-game losing streak, but they looked sharp in their win over Golden State, putting up their highest point total in nearly 2 months. That performance could provide a confidence boost, but it remains to be seen if they can sustain that level of production. The over has been a strong trend in this matchup, going 8-2 against the spread in the last 10 games between these teams. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Washington Wizards versus Miami Heat. The Wizards are heading down to South Beach to face off against the Heat in what should be an interesting matchup. Washington is riding some momentum after securing a win against the Hornets on Saturday night. but despite that, they're still likely headed for another appearance in the NBA lottery. Meanwhile, the Heat are coming into this game on the second night of a back-to-back. Fresh off a tough battle against the Knicks on Sunday, fatigue could be a factor for Miami, especially after an overtime game. Both teams are dealing with key absences. The Wizards are still missing Jordan Poole and Saddiq Bey, which leaves them short-handed. On the other side, the Heat continue to play without Andrew Wiggins and James Jackson Jr. These injuries could play a role in how the game unfolds, as both teams are missing contributors who could otherwise make an impact. The Heat are coming off what might be their best week in recent memory, even though it should have ended with a win over the Knicks. Still, it was a solid stretch for Miami. That said, the Heat have struggled for years to win games by large margins, and their record against the spread this season reflects that. They're one of those teams that tends to play up or down to their competition, and I don't expect that to change here, especially on the tail end of a back-to-back. On the other hand, the Wizards are coming off their best month of the season and have covered the spread in 7 of their last 10 games. Historically, the underdog has performed well in this matchup, going 5-3-1 against the spread in the last 9 games between these two teams. That trend could bode well for Washington, especially considering how they looked in their recent win over the Hornets. The Heat are favored at home, but playing on 0 days of rest after an overtime game is never easy. That opens the door for the Wizards, who showed some life in their big win over Charlotte. Miami has a habit of not taking care of business the way they should against weaker teams, and that could come into play here. While it's hard to imagine the Heat losing at home, they've been playing below their potential lately, so the Wizards should be able to keep this game competitive and within single digits. As our first pick for this matchup, the Washington Wizards to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. Both the Wizards and Heat rank in the bottom 10 in the league in scoring offense, but their first meeting this season was a high-scoring affair that went way over the projected total. In fact, these teams have gone over the total in 6 of their last 10 matchups. With the Heat playing on the second night of a back-to-back, their usual defensive intensity might not be there, which could lead to more points. Additionally, Miami should have no trouble scoring against a Wizards defense that ranks last in the NBA in points allowed per game. Expect a back-and-forth game with a lot of perimeter play and plenty of scoring. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Houston Rockets versus Oklahoma City Thunder. The Houston Rockets are set to face off against the Oklahoma City Thunder in a high-stakes matchup near the top of the Western Conference standings. The Rockets are coming off a loss to the Sacramento Kings, while the Thunder are playing on Sunday and will be on the second night of a back-to-back when they meet Houston. This scheduling factor could play a role in the outcome, as fatigue often becomes a factor in these situations. Houston might be dealing with some roster limitations, as Tari Eason, Steven Adams, and Alperen Sengun are all listed as questionable for this game. On the other side, the Thunder are still missing Chet Holmgren and Isaiah Joe. These two teams have already faced each other 3 times this season, with Oklahoma City holding a 2-1 series lead. Given their strong record and home court advantage, it's no surprise that the Thunder are opening as double-digit favorites in this matchup. However, the Rockets have proven they can compete, and this game could be closer than the odds suggest. Chet Holmgren's injury situation adds another layer of uncertainty to this game. He appeared to tweak his left ankle early in the first quarter of Friday's game but managed to play through it for the first half, logging 15 minutes. However, the injury was significant enough to keep him sidelined for the second half. It's unclear whether he'll be available for Monday's game, especially since the Thunder are playing on consecutive nights. Given the back-to-back schedule, it's likely that Oklahoma City will err on the side of caution with Holmgren. If he's unable to go, Isaiah Hartenstein will likely see increased minutes in his absence. Oklahoma City is navigating a tough stretch, playing the second game of a back-to-back with travel in between. They'll face the Spurs in San Antonio on Sunday night before heading back home to prepare for the Rockets. Compounding their challenges, Chet Holmgren's return has been delayed once again, this time due to an ankle injury. His absence could be a significant factor in this game, as Alperen Sengun and Jalen Green are expected to be fully available and well-rested for Houston. Sengun, in particular, could play a pivotal role in Houston's offense, especially with Holmgren potentially out. The Thunder's most recent loss came on the second night of a back-to-back, and the Rockets have already beaten them once this season. Houston will be fresh and ready to compete. The Rockets have been playing solid basketball lately, and their extra rest could give them an edge in this matchup. They haven't played since Saturday, which means they'll be well prepared and energized for this game. While the Thunder Thunder are a formidable opponent, I believe the Rockets can keep this game competitive and potentially keep the final margin within single digits. It feels a bit disrespectful to label Houston as double-digit underdogs, especially considering they've shown they can beat any team in the league this season. While it's rare to find a good reason to bet against the Thunder at home, this might be one of those rare spots. As our first pick for this matchup, the Houston Rockets to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. The Thunder are playing on Sunday, which means they'll be on the second leg of a back-to-back when they face the Rockets. Despite the quick turnaround, Oklahoma City boasts the best defensive rating in the NBA. They had a rough start in their recent game against the Nets, giving up 40 points in the first quarter and 78 in the first half, but they turned things around with a dominant second-half performance. Houston, on the other hand, plays at a slower pace, ranking 20th in the league. Fred VanVleet, who's back at point guard, prefers a more methodical approach on offense. Defensively, the Rockets are no slouch either. Under Ime Udoka, they rank in the top 5 in defensive rating and lead the NBA in rebounding percentage. This game could be a defensive battle. With Holmgren out, the Thunder will have to adjust their lineup and likely play a slower, more deliberate style to conserve energy. Oklahoma City's defense is the best in the league in terms of efficiency, and they have versatile defenders like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Luguentz Dort, and Jalen Williams who can guard multiple positions. Houston has also been strong defensively lately, holding their opponents under the total in each of their last 3 games, including a standout performance against Giannis Antetokounmpo and Damian Lillard in their matchup with the Bucks. VanVleet's ankle injury might limit Houston's shooting, which could contribute to a lower scoring game. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.